Welcome back to LearnWake. This is Brandon Judd, and today I'm responding to a video analysis request uploaded by user blueburrows. And this is on his first backroll attempt at the wake park. So, first of all, in this description here, thanks for this by the way, it says this is your first attempt, you're looking for some advice for improvement, apart from landing it, obviously. But thanks for this. This is really good for us to see, and there's a couple things that I'm noticing right away. The first thing is how you go around the corner. I think kind of messes with your line tension a little bit. I think that sets you up wrong. And then the second thing is I think if you load it up a little harder, it'll give you the line tension you need to kind of stand you back upright. So before we get too far into it, let's just take a look at the video here. I slowed it down to half speed so we could see. And see in your approach, you edge out wide and then you just kind of coast straight for a little while and you keep the handle kind of pinned at your hips. And it's just kind of funky. Like if you look at your path here, it sort of does this little S thing. What that does is once you come off of edge, switch edges so that you can go back onto a hard heel side load, it just keeps the line tension at kind of a constant tension the whole time, whereas you want it to go away when you're edging on your toes completely so that it comes back hard when you edge on your heels, and that just mellows it out the way you went around the corner. Let's see, the next thing is, and you do load pretty good, you could do it a little more abrupt so that it loads up a little harder right under you. And then the release looks great. I mean, this is a really, really good first attempt. And then it looks like you get stuck kind of between the two flips and don't get a lot of line tension to stand you back upright. So let's take one more brief look at the second half of this invert. So right here, it naturally wants to go to revert if I'm sure you felt it, that it wants you to add that 180. So at this point, it's nice to have a little extra line tension to stand you back up, because what you can do with that line tension is you can either take the handle and push it this direction towards shore, and that will straighten your board out, or you can drop your right hand and that will open you back up to land heel side back roll to revert. That's a very normal issue. A lot of people learn a back roll to revert first because it's so embedded in that rotation, and you can get away with under rotating a back roll to revert and still land edging on your toes. So that's up to you, but I would definitely recommend learning both of them. If you want to keep it back roll, you'll need to load it up a little more and bring that handle toward shore so that you can straighten your board up. But right here, there's not quite enough line tension to kind of stand you up, and then you let go because you get stalled out. It just looks like you didn't really expect that. And you're really, really close to this. I mean, for your first attempt, it's really, really good. So let's take a look at a couple other videos and compare really briefly. So this is like a helmet cam version of back roll to revert, and you'll see kind of where I'm looking and how I go around the corner, and you'll see how natural it is to go to revert. So as soon as the carrier clicks through that corner wheel, I get right onto my toes to kill the line tension so that the line tension is nice and soft when I begin. And then I fall onto my heels hard so that the line tension is really abrupt. And then right here is kind of where you got stuck. And at this point, this is for the back roll to revert. I'll take my right hand off the handle here, and that'll open me up to land on my toes. And again, you can under rotate a little bit and land on that toe side edge, and then line tension returns to normal and everything goes back to how it was. So that's one option you have if you feel like you just are getting beat up on the heel side back roll and want to give the roll to revert a shot. This might be a quicker way to get at least some sort of air trick invert under your belt. Going back to the back roll, so here's just an example of that back roll. So I want you to pay attention to how I go around the corner here and where I'm looking. So look up at the cable. I'd already edged really hard on my heels, and I'm kind of coasting gently on my toes. As soon as it clicks over, I get pretty aggressive on my toes here. You'll see just how much board is out of the water. I really get onto my toes and then come off of my toes quickly. And by going onto my toes and off of it quickly, makes the line tension nice and soft when I'm neutral. And that's kind of the key. You want it to be soft here so that you don't have any line tension resisting you loading it up, right? Like, so if the line tension's really tight right here, I have a hard time getting my shoulders closer to the water, whereas if it's kind of soft, I can lean further back without as much effort. So that's kind of what I'm doing during that turn, is making sure that I position myself to where the line tension's soft when I'm neutral, so I can then fall against a really hard edge. And to give it a little more oomph, I'll sort of fold a little bit. I'll break at the waist and at the knees just a little, only so that I can get my shoulders and my feet kind of close together, so I'm like a loaded spring when I'm loading. So I load up nice and hard, and then when I start to release, right about here, you'll see just how deep I get the board in the water. And then right about here, I stand really tall. I just push all of that bend out of my lean. And so what happens when I get rid of all of the bend in my body, I'm extending myself from a short lever to a long lever. So a shorter lever is easier for me to resist that line tension, because a shorter lever takes more force to pull over, and a taller lever at the end of it takes less force. So I'm just taking the physics around me, and by standing really tall, by crouching down during my load just a hair with my hips forward, and then standing tall and pushing all the bend out of my legs, what happens there is when the line tension is getting tight and I become a taller lever, it increases the pressure against the bottom of the board and increases the line tension, so that I get pushed up higher into the air. And then right here, where you kind of got stuck, I'll get a tug from the rope, and that will stand me back upright. It's very subtle, but you can kind of see it if we watch it again. So hard load, stand tall, and then right there I get a tug, and that tug stands me back up over my board. If you don't load it up abruptly enough like that, then you don't get that tug, and you have to initiate the flip a little differently. This is a real short load version of an air trick. So that is about it. If you were to come around the corner, so we'll talk about your differences. If you were to come around the corner a little smoother, so that right here you can edge toes and then flatten out so the line tension gets soft. If you can make this line tension soft, and then you can really bury the board a little harder, at this point you'll get that tug, and you'll just take the handle and direct it toward your lead hip, and that will straighten you out. If you want to see this in more depth, there's a video called Air Heel Set Backroll at the Cable Analyzing the Clip, and this is just that same clip that I showed you. I just go over it, for about 3.5 minutes and pick it apart. So this is a good one to watch if you want to analyze it a little more. I mean, honestly, a couple small adjustments and you'll have this thing pretty consistent. So thanks for uploading the video. If you have any questions, hit us up down here in the comments, or you can go out there and get another couple of attempts, and we'll analyze those.